Question: what is a keratin treatment and is it good for natural hair? This is a great question. In light of us, Hair Rules, having announced that we were no longer doing chemical relaxers last fall. And that was due to the overwhelming evidence of fibroids and ovarian cancer among Black women, the highest rate of consumer for relaxers for the longest time. But now the evidence, as you all know, is there. So, traditional relaxers and why we no longer carry them, and why keratins are probably the most innovative processing or tweaking of one's texture in the last 100 years, I think. Why so? Well, here's the difference. Traditional relaxers that we've used in the past to either straighten or texturize the hair, there's a certain amount of damage that has to occur. So you all, if anybody read Malcolm X's biography, you know when he put that conch on his hair that he didn't have any water and had to rinse it out, burnt his hair up and put his head in the toilet. And so if anybody's had a relaxer, you've all got a chemical burn here and there, a little over processing. So on some level, their hair is always left somewhat compromised. And whether you're using that relaxer to either texturize or straighten the hair, the H-bonds, the structure of the hair is broken down. And if you didn't rinse out, or everybody knows when you get that relaxer and it's time for it to come off, you have to rinse and neutralize, right? And if you didn't rinse and neutralize, what would happen? It would melt away the hair and burn a hole in your head. That's technically how those chemicals and or acids work. And so on some level, we perfected how to damage the hair to the degree that we like. But unfortunately, the hair was always left somewhat compromised. You had to be careful, couldn't get color. You had to be very careful with doing any of the chemical processes, heat styling. Not that any of those things are something that you shouldn't be concerned about and or do with caution without a relaxer or a chemical process. But it's just such a harsh chemical, the sodium hydroxide or a thioglycolic relaxers that break down the structure of the hair. So the difference between those or the difference in what a keratin is, keratins are the real protein treatments. They're real reconstructors. You all remember products like Apogee or protein treatments, or you've heard somebody say, "Oh, girl, I used too much protein conditioner and now my hair is dried out." That is probably not from the conditioner. Conditioners don't deliver protein or nanotechnology. Conditioners make hair soft. That's all they do. Keratins are the real protein treatments. You might have heard some controversy in the beginning of when keratins really kind of got popular about 10 years ago was formaldehyde free or Brazilian blowouts. Brazilian blowout is a brand of keratin, and they got in trouble because they said there was no formaldehyde, and in fact there were traces of formaldehyde. There are also non-formaldehyde keratins, which are the ones that we use at Hair Rules, and Hair Rules is keen on healthy hair. We're not here to reinvent the wheel as much as we are here to just question processes and how can we get the healthiest approach to getting your hair and how to change it or tweak it, right? Keratins have the ability to be a reconstructor, loosen your texture, defrizz, loosen kink so that it has a little bit more manageability. It can take the density out of your hair. And in fact, what it does, because it's not a chemical, it's activated by heat. And it's just protein that goes inside the cuticle and it coats the outside of the cuticle. And they're the increments of heat that you'll use as a professional. And if you're like me and it has ADD, then you're in safe hands because it's a feeling, right? And how you process the keratin. It's based upon the person's hair that's sitting in front of you. And as you all know, as many shades of a people as we are, there are as many hair textures. And there are 1,000,001 kinky textures, curly, wavy, and straight. And they all have different hair types. And so based upon the hair texture in front of you will determine how you apply those increments of heat to get the desired results. Keratins are really great at helping to keep the hair healthy and making the hair more manageable. They will help to kickstart your wash and go hair or your season because it makes wash and go styling more manageable. And in actuality, the keratin rinses out and goes away after about 3 months, or the more you rinse and wash your hair. And you have to be very careful with your heat usage when you're doing a keratin, that you're heat styling or doing straight styles, say no more than once a month. But in fact, all of that changes based upon the hair and the hair texture in front of you. And the unfortunate thing for our industry is that there are hairdressers, the majority of hairdressers are not as well versed in every hair texture across the texture spectrum. So that in turn becomes a problem for you, because they may have only been well versed at a few textures. And so that trickle down effect, you basically get the limitations of the hairdresser is you'll be wearing it.